Welcome back to today's 10-minute mentor session. Back again with the lovely Tim Lloyd from Mind Maps Wellbeing. How are you, Tim?
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. And you?
Yes, good. I'm looking forward to talking about this one. Work-life balance. Oh dear. I feel
Yeah, I
the
mean,
scales tipping like this.
I think it's fair to say that for most people, this has shifted over the last
Mm,
couple of years in one
yeah,
way or another, because the way we work has changed, and I think that's fundamental for
yeah,
everybody's experience.
yeah,
So yeah, I kind of initially thought this, work-life balance as a business owner, but recognizing that actually, whether you're the business owner or not, this obviously is an issue for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even for me, who's employed, and I've worked at home for 20 odd years. And it's never been a problem really, in the sense of working at home. But obviously, when my kids were smaller, it was hard going because of the stress,
Mm.
trying to keep them out of the room when they come home from school and saying, I'm still working till 5. Yeah, but mummy, no. That sort of thing was stressful. But then obviously now with COVID, and when we had to work at home through lockdown, I was, yeah, didn't like being told I had to do it,
Mm.
not being able to go out and meet people.
Yeah, I think that's part of my worry with this is
Mm,
it's almost become accepted that
mm,
we now, the boundaries between work and home are much more blurred,
yeah,
and accepted by others, but also accepted by ourselves. And it's a slippery slope then,
yeah,
isn't it? How we can allow ourselves to slide with that. I've caught myself doing things at the weekend, and my son's like, "We going out or what?" I'm like, "I just got to send this email to keep." What are you doing?
yeah.
Um,
I think everybody does that though. And with
mm,
the best intentions, you say, I'm switching off at 5 o'clock. And, there's certain people that I will just not answer because I think that, it's I finished my job and I'm not going to do it. But then there'll be something that comes through and I'll think, oh, I can't. I just need to send it because I feel bad. And actually, I shouldn't feel bad because I'm not
mm,
working, but it's just again, it's my personality, and I guess that's the thing. Some people will be really strong and go, no, I'm off. I'm not doing anything. I used to get told off for sending emails when I was on holiday, and then one year I didn't send any emails, didn't reply to any emails, and I lost a massive contract. And actually, that just played on my mind then and made me feel even worse because I just thought about the work that I lost. But you can't win everything, can you? And you can't be everywhere all the time.
I think that's the challenge, Lisa, isn't it? It's about that acceptance of actually, this work is going to sit and not be done.
Yeah,
But also, people are, I think, I'm often driven by, example, if I take 2 weeks off,
yeah,
that work's going to be sat waiting for me when I come back as well. So,
yeah,
how much am I actually switching off?
yeah.
And I think, you were saying about, how it takes us time to switch off anyway,
That's
doesn't it?
right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
someone said it to me a few months ago. They said, I was talking about when you get back to work and you've got all these emails and all the rest of it. He said, you got to think logically. When you go on holiday for a fortnight, the first week that's your first week of mellowing out and getting back out of a work routine. So then your second week, you probably enjoy a lot more. And then by the time you really enjoy it, it's time to go home. And then when you go home, oh, look at my diary, I've set it out. I've got all these meetings to go out to, so I've got stuff to do. But then actually you go, oh, but I've got a million emails and I've got all these messages and you can't actually respond to them because you've been out. And then that's stress. But actually, if you just think that first week, I'm just going to block it out and I'm just going to go back and focus on all the stuff I need to do before I go out and generate more work. Because I think we're all guilty of that, of generating more work because we want to do better, we want to help everybody, we want to do all more and more. But there's only 24 hours in the day, and most of us only work 9 till 5. I know obviously other people work even longer hours than that. But it's kind of like we just put so much pressure on ourselves to do so much in a short space of time. When actually, I think the pressure could be alleviated if we realised that it's not about how much we're doing in that day. It's about the quality of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the quality is not as good when you've literally got yourself stressed and you're like, oh, you sat there at midnight and you're still working. I mean, I've done that before, procrastinated and then had a deadline. I've been like midnight doing a quote, and I'm sat there thinking, oh, I can't do anymore. It's not healthy, is it?
It's not. And knowing kind of how the brain works with these things like cognitive processing.
Yeah.
If we're tired, we've not slept well, so we stayed up that night working on it, and so now there's a offset payment that we have to make for that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I didn't stop for lunch, so again, maybe my nutrition levels are dropping.
Yeah.
This is going to affect, and it comes back to that quality, isn't it? Again, rather than kind of how much I'm pouring myself in.
I think the thing is with the whole work-life balance, everyone's different what their view of what that balance is, because for some, I guess, maybe people who haven't got children, that work, for me, I love my work and everything, but some people who don't have children or relationships and things like that, for them, their work is probably a lot of their social time as well. So maybe for them to work, but the impact on their mental health still is not going to be, it's going to be the same as it would be to any of us, whether we've got children or not, isn't it? And I think that it's sometimes used as I've always done it. I've just turned to work, because when I'm at work, I can switch off and forget about all the stuff that's happening elsewhere. But that stuff is still there. And all you've done is you've made yourself very tired and you've locked yourself away, really. And actually, it's not, yes, it is your social life as well, because we all become friends and that kind of thing. But when you're just sat doing work constantly, it's not good for the mind, because you need to have other things, don't you? You've got to have a little bit of fun. And I went and watched Jimmy Carr last night, and I woke up this morning with a laughter hangover, because I literally felt like I'd got a hangover, but without drinking any alcohol, because I just laughed so much. My jaw was hurting, my eyes were hurting, but I actually feel really good today, because I'm like, that laughter, that fun, that has given me a boost, and I've not had that like proper belly laughing like I was for a long time, and it was like, oh, so yeah,
it ties back in with our coping strategies, doesn't it, Lisa, that we were talking in the last session, about kind of make sure that we take those opportunities to drain off some of our stresses. But I guess the risk is, with comparison with what we talked about in session 2 around, keeping on top of the gravel. If the gravel is becoming all consuming, then we put more effort into doing that. But it's about, I think, recognizing that if that's to the detriment of other areas of my life, then this starts to become an unhealthy balance, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think all work and no play just makes everybody dull.
Not just that.
No, it's we need to have, some people say, no, I can just keep working. Nobody can. You need to have that break. And even if you're in this isn't just aimed at people who are self-employed or employed or office-based, because even, the likes of people on building sites and all that kind of thing, sometimes some of these things, these projects that they're working on, they could be taking home a hell of a lot of stress that they're thinking about, stuff that they need to remember. And and some people are very lucky, because, as I said, they just switch off and it doesn't affect them. I used to be like that when I had jobs that I didn't really care about, if I'm honest. It was a job and I was getting paid. And I specifically remember when I was asked to stay behind to do some extra stuff, I said, no, I'm going home to my kids. And I was adamant that that's what I was doing. And then obviously I got better jobs, or I say better jobs, but jobs that I really was passionate about. And when you are passionate about it, you put more into it. And obviously if you've got a boss that's backing you and behind you, then you do the same, don't you? And so then it takes over and it becomes like, no, I need to do this. And then, got kids play to go to at school, and it's like, oh, it's clashing. No, I have to go to the kids thing because that's what I've got to do. But then by the skin of your teeth, you're late arriving because you've literally sat there till the 11th hour, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And
And while you're there, you're looking at emails, maybe that if you're
yeah,
thinking of
yeah,
just,
yeah,
and we're
yeah,
kind of missing life then, aren't we? I
yeah,
mean,
exactly. Yeah,
I'm all for people loving their work, and great to be in
yeah,
that position where doing something that I enjoy. But at the same time, it's about having different facets to me and acknowledging them all.
yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly.
Like say whether it's a parent or not, or social friendships or whatever those other aspects are that we maybe to their detriment because we're so focused on work.
Yeah, and I think as well, it stops us from being in the moment that we're in, doesn't it?
Mm,
Because I know myself also, ironically, this is one of the things that came up on the screen last night before Jimmy Carr came out. He said on there, he said, "Don't film it because you won't ever watch it back, and you're here now." And I thought that's actually very, very true because everyone does that. They go places, they
no,
film it, they're photographing, and actually, you're not paying full attention to that because you're too busy. And who are we going to show it to? I mean, I've got loads of stuff on my phone that no one's ever seen because it's just, I don't even know why I've
yeah,
videoed it or whatever. And yeah, okay, school plays, you video your kids because, you're going to show your other half if they can't go and it's memories and stuff. And that's different. But yeah,
that's-
just be in that
but
moment. And
firework displays, for example, is a
yeah,
classic. People
yeah,
stand there filming a fireworks display on their phone and watching it through the phone, even, and not really being in the moment. And that, like you say, who's going to watch that back? Really,
yeah.
not
It
many
is. It
people.
is. It's so true. I mean, as I say, not the moment. I've always said that I'm a bit of a time traveller because I'm already. My brain goes to the next day, to the next month, to the next year. I've time travelled so much, and it was actually a therapist man that said this to me. He says, "You do realise you're a time traveller," and I was like, "Well, I wish I was because I'd be going all over the place." And he says, "No, you are." He says, "Because you're not in the moment. You need to be here and worry about is what is here and now, not what's coming, because you can't control what's coming because you don't know what's coming. And you might think you do, but you don't. We've all got intuition and everything. That's fine, but actually, you can't think and know something that's going to happen 10 years down the line. It doesn't work like that." And actually, I thought he's got a point because literally, I would be, I'd try to phone my husband, and when he was sick and couldn't get hold of him, so in my head, something bad had happened, and that I was like 20, 30
Yeah,
steps ahead of it, and that just makes you not feel well as well, I think. And I think
you get into the what ifs, don't you? And there's
what
so many
ifs,
connotations of that that
yeah. And I
more
think from a
confusing.
working perspective, if you're doing that as well, when you're trying to balance your working life, your family life, and you've got all these what ifs going on. What if I don't look at that email? What if? What if? Exactly. What if? No one's going to die by you not reading an email. But that's your brain. That's what your brain goes. Yes, it is. Do it. Do it.
And it comes back to the sense of feeling in control and knowing what's coming. Kind of, it's back to our fight and flight response again.
Yeah.
That if we can plan for it, then it's going to be less of a threat to us when it comes. But how many of those things actually come to pass that we think of in
Yeah.
those moments where we're thinking all of what ifs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. Well, I think that the work life balance again, like we said, it's down to the individual for what's right for them as far as their balance. But everybody should have some part where they switch off completely and have a break from it and just try to make things better for themselves, I think, in one way or another, whether that's planning ahead and, booking a load of time out in your calendar and, you know, because that's another thing you can do actually is like someone taught me that if you are working at home and you're doing emails and you're doing admin type stuff, um, basically just put in your calendar that you're not available and then put a message on your email that says you're unavailable so people don't expect that urgent reply because that takes the pressure off you as well because all of these things add more pressure and then so you then end up working later because you feel like you've missed out. So there's lots of little tips and advice and things that you can do. And I know there's a lot of stuff online because obviously I've had a look as well because it's always like, what can I do to help myself?
definitely. I mean, one of the best websites for me is a really simple one called Get Self Help.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's all sorts of useful little models, thought records, and things that we can do to help just to improve our mental health. There's one that I particularly took from there is the STOP model, in about kind of emotional reactivity in the moment, and actually taking that step back and hop before I kind of launch on the guy who cut me up on the way to work. I go actually take a moment. So there's some really useful stuff in there. I really encourage people to have a look.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, thank you very much, Tim.
No worries, thank you.
I believe that's the third one done already. It's just such good content for people to have a listen to, I think, and hopefully will help them in some way. And if not, they can share it with other people as well. So
yeah, absolutely great stuff.
We'll see you again next time. All right.
Thank you, Liz. Take care. Bye.